What's going on, everybody? This is your girl Tawanda Dofat, the president and CEO of Majestic Millionaires Travel Agency. And I wanted to get on here today and talk about something that everyone needs to know, everyone needs to hear about. And I hope this information will help you in your planning stages, whether you book a trip with Majestic Millionaires Travel Agency online or with someone else, because the information is important to everyone. We are in a traveling season right now. This is a high season for travel. Everyone is moving, everyone is going somewhere. And we get a lot of trips, right? So a lot of things are happening in the background that I don't share as often, but I really need to put this information out so it can help someone make a decision to purchase travel insurance. A lot of times people opt out of the travel insurance, and for several reasons, but I put in the post that I'm going to give you three different scenarios, but actually I have four because I've dealt with one for the last two nights that have kept me up and trying to help the customers get this stuff sorted out. I am going to be as transparent as I can. Each one of these scenarios, these people are on my Facebook page, so I will not mention their names, but they will know these scenarios are about them. And they're going to be all positive stories to get you to, well, the situations are negative stories, the situation that happened. But all of them are going to be positive as far as how we can remedy, how we can take care of a situation where you will not be left like this, right? I believe one of these persons had travel insurance in this whole scenario that I'm going to talk about. And if you are going to jump on in the middle, I'm going to ask you to share the video. After you watch it, go back and watch it so you can hear the full content of everything I'm going to be sharing, right? So everyone loves to travel. Everyone loves to get to these different cities, these different countries, and enjoy themselves. You guys have worked hard all year long. Some of you have not taken a vacation in maybe 2 or 3 years. One of these customers that I'm going to talk about hadn't taken a vacation in 7 years. So it's important that you protect your investment. It's very important that not only do you protect your investment, you protect yourself. When you go to another country, your insurance, your Blue Cross and Blue Shield, Kaiser Permanente, your insurance does not work in other countries. Sometimes they may treat you and give you a bill, and if you don't pay it, sometimes you can't leave that country. Sometimes you have to pay it right there in full up front. They guesstimate it, or they will not see you. Most of the travel insurances that you purchase here in the United States cover international travel and domestic travel. Most of it is reimbursable. You have to pay up front and then get reimbursed. But it is a great way for you to, invest in your health and invest in your investment, right? So after you watch this, please, guys, take to heart what I'm saying, because it's this important that I am going to give you these people's information, and I'm going to try to help somebody change their mind about why they should have travel insurance. We purchase houses, and there is no way you would want your house unprotected and you would just buy a house and say, oh, I'm not going to protect it and not have insurance. The bank requires that you have insurance in order for them to protect their investment, because most homes are purchased with a loan, and the bank wants to make sure if that house burns down or that house is damaged, that their investment is protected, and they want to protect you as their client as well. When we buy a car, there's no way you would be driving around in these streets without travel insurance. Some people do, and they get in trouble and they see what the repercussions are behind driving a vehicle without any insurance. Sometimes they lose their license. Sometimes they get a bill that's so astronomical that it can, it messes up their entire finances and their future. And then, you just wouldn't want to have anything of value to you that you are not going to protect. So now let's get to the scenarios that I want to talk about. And these are not made up stories. These are stories that have actually happened within the last week. And like I said, I want to share this because I want to make sure my travel agents hear this story. I want to make sure people that are booking with other companies hear this story. And I want to make sure, first and foremost, everyone that books here with Majestic Millionaires knows how valuable purchasing that travel insurance is. And we're making some changes here at our office that we are not going to be doing business with anyone that does not have travel insurance starting yesterday. And some of these stories will prove why. Okay, first, one of my clients had a group trip to Jamaica. They went a week ago and they got back. The resort was beautiful. They said that it was brand new. They had such an amazing time. And it was some couples. Some of the couples got travel insurance, some of them didn't. When you go out the door, first of all, when you book a trip with us, we ask you to purchase travel insurance. Midway through, we kind of remind you and nudge you a little bit again about, it's still not too late to get travel insurance. And then on your way out the door, before you travel, you'll get another email or a phone call or a text from us to say, hey, it's still not too late. Can reconsider purchasing the travel insurance. And there's a reason why we do this, right? So my customers, they went to Jamaica and one of them slipped and fell. And they just got back. They did the report at the resort. And of course, when you slip and fall and you're in another country, if you were to get really hurt, she said she was hurt. And they did the report. But now she's back home. And it's very, very difficult to find a lawyer or to even get the documents from the other country and from the resort to help pursue any kind of action against the hotel or the management or whatever, the country, because she didn't have travel insurance. Of course, her medical company, if she has Blue Cross, Kaiser, they're going to see her and treat her here in the United States. However, she had trip interruption. She could not fulfill enjoying her trip. So even with travel insurance, there's something called trip interruption. With trip interruption, we sell it on every policy that we have here. That means your trip was interrupted by no means or no fault of your own. She said she could not enjoy the rest of her time there, so it was like a waste of her money. We offered the insurance to her on her way out the door. She said she maybe seen it, maybe didn't. She replied to it, but she can't remember. But even retaining an attorney to handle such a case out of the country, they do it pro bono here in the country because they know they're going to probably win or settle some type of way. But there are policies in place. Normally the person you are pursuing or suing, or the person that is suing or pursuing you, if you were negligent, there's normally a policy involved that the lawyer can charge against and bill his rate against. Even if you win or even if you don't win, there are provisions in insurance policies that will pay the attorney. But there's no attorney that's going to take a case normally for a slip and fall in another country, and they have to invest their time, their airline flight to go over there, research. They have to put a lot of time, money, and effort into a case. And there's not a guarantee, because everything's not guaranteed, but there's no billable. An attorney uses billable hours. There's no billable hours against a policy or anything that they can benefit from or get them at least some of their expenses recovered if they fight on your behalf when you did not have a policy. So, with no policy with this young lady, I reached out to the hotel, tried to get the documents, see if they would offer her anything. I also asked her, did she have a homeowner's policy that maybe they can take care of, any other out of pocket expenses and things of that nature. So I was like blown away because first and foremost, our goal is to make sure we protect our customers. When we send them on a trip, it's not just about booking a trip, making sure they get over there and they're happy, haha. We want to make sure they're protected. That's why I go so hard with the travel insurance, and I tell the young ladies in the office and our sales team, make sure you provide that link. Make sure you tell the customer a couple of times. It's not, guys, that we are trying to just sell you something. We are in the background hearing all of these stories, and they're sad stories, That slip and fall, of course, she said she was embarrassed too, so she didn't really want to leave the room. It just messed up her whole psyche for the whole trip. And if you've ever fallen or slipped and fell in a store, at work, or on the street, you know how devastating that can be. And then you're in another country and you really couldn't get any help. And then you call us and we tell you there's basically nothing we can do because you did not buy the travel insurance. That's even another double whammy on top of the double whammy that you've already received while you was in that country. Okay. Let's move on to the next customer. The next customer I sent to Nice. Everything was working out fine. They didn't have travel insurance. We offered it several times. I got a text messages that I offered it. I sent it to them in email. On their way out the door, we offered it again. The customer said they did not want the insurance. Nothing was going to happen. They're going on the trip. And that's another thing. Just because you're going on the trip, you have to protect yourself once you get on the trip and you're in someone else's city or country. So they were cool. They were like, it was their honeymoon of 15 years, I believe. If I got that wrong and they're listening to the story, I do apologize. But I do believe it was a 15-year anniversary, wedding anniversary. Their disaster started the day they arrived to the airport. They live here in the Maryland area. They did not want a layover, so they they drove to New York so they can have a direct flight on United Airways directly to Nice. And that's when, people want to go different places and fly out of different airports that's 4 and 5 hours away to have a better price sometimes or to have better accommodations. So the customer got there. Their flight got canceled immediately. They drove to New York. They went there a couple of hours early, and their flight got canceled. Keep in mind, there's 200 or 300 other people on this flight as well. So they had mechanical issues. We can't prevent mechanical issues. The client can't prevent mechanical issues, but those things happen every single day while traveling. So now they're in New York. There's mechanical issues. They're not going to come all the way back home, so United Airlines is looking for them another flight. They have to get another pilot in. They have to get new airline stewards in and all of that to get a new flight that's going direct over to Nice, right? So we were back and forth talking to the customer. Actually, I was home. We have an emergency number. They were calling the emergency number. We were making sure they were taken care of, trying to see if there was another flight. They booked them another flight, and that flight got canceled after a few hours. I guess because they didn't get the pilot in or enough people to be on the flight with that many people for the clearance to go. So they missed the night. Now they're going to pay for a hotel in New York because they're not going to drive all the way back to Maryland to go all the way back the next day or to wait until another flight is going to be issued. For this entire group, it's the group is meaning all the people that were on the flight. This wasn't a group booking. This was just a individual, him and his wife, traveling to Nice. So they called me back and they said, oh, they're going to put us on a flight tomorrow. Okay, now they've missed their whole first day in Nice. It's their wedding anniversary, and now they missed their transfers. They missed their tours, because when they got there, they're going to start off with a bang and they were going to do some tours. We was able to get the tours canceled because we use Viator and they offer a free 24-hour cancellation. So in that case, he was able to get the tour canceled and the transfer, but he was not able to recover that one night of stay that he missed. Also, they wanted to stay later because they missed time in their night at the hotel the first night, almost into the second night, because the time difference. We were about, I think it's 7 or 8 hours in time difference. So they missed almost 2 days of their vacation. And this vacation was not a budget-friendly vacation. This was very expensive vacation. So in order for them to stay and extend their stay, there were airline fees involved, airline ticket exchanges involved, and it was very, very costly. And then they had to pay for another hotel, because the hotel they were staying in was booked solid, right? No other rooms for another night or two to stay. So they were not accommodated. So they had to lose that time, not be able to enjoy their vacation, and then all because there was mechanical issues on the flight. Okay, so we couldn't do anything for them. We couldn't get them the nights extended. We could not get them a free night, their refund back from the first night. We could not do anything really because they don't have travel insurance. We offered our apologies on behalf of the airlines because there was mechanical issues. But, you know, when those things happen, they are uncontrollable. So when we ask you about the travel insurance, you don't know what the future holds, if that plane is going to have mechanical issues, if it's going to have to stop somewhere in mid-flight and land in another city or another country. And then sometimes they accommodate you and sometimes they don't. But if they do, sometimes they don't put you in the best places, and you might be a luxury or moderate traveler and you don't want to stay at a cheap rundown motel inn that the airline is going to give you a voucher for. If you have travel insurance, again, that would be called trip interruption, and you would be offered some of your trip money back by the insurance company. Anything you paid out of pocket that was reasonable, you would be reimbursed. But because this couple did not purchase the travel insurance, a lot of their vacation was a disaster as far as, you know, making sure they were reimbursed or compensated. You know, they can write a letter to the airline, which we recommended that they do, to let them know what experience they felt by that mechanical issue. Okay, so that was Nice, and that was a slip and fall in Jamaica. Now this one for Barcelona is, if this doesn't make you buy travel insurance, I don't really know what would. This is a whole bag of, Lord, take the wheel, right? I had a couple, they were going to Barcelona, and then from Barcelona, we had them a leg going over to Paris. They were going to the Eiffel Tower. They were taking their son, their grown son, and they just wanted to have a great time. I believe the vacation was 10 days, and they were leaving out of Washington, D.C., the DCA airport. Everything was in order. This couple did have the travel insurance, and let's talk about their scenario. Even though they bought the insurance, they're going to get reimbursed for everything that we're here to talk about. And they were on American Airlines. So guys, every airline has issue. I know some of you talking about, oh, if I fly Southwest, they don't do this. Yes, they do. I've had debacles with Southwest on many occasions. United, they don't have this. Yes, they do. Emirates, yes, they do. All airlines have mechanical issues at one point or another. All airlines have pilots that don't show up. You may not know in the background why things are shifting and why they're delayed. But let's get to my customer that was going to Barcelona, that went to Barcelona. Okay, they're out on the runway in Washington, D.C., and there is a mechanical issue. There we go with the mechanical issues. When we first sold the trip, we tell you guys you should buy the travel insurance, and they say no, no, no. It's not always to get your money back. It's after departure as well. Okay, so they said they had brake issues on the plane. So they can't take off because they don't know when they land if the plane is going to stop. Because if they have brake failure now, and they're sitting on the runway, they're definitely not going to take off. So my customer from Washington, D.C. was flying to New York, and then from New York they were flying straight to Barcelona. Okay, of course the flight is not leaving. They have a connection to meet in New York. And this is another reason why when you guys are saying, I don't want these long layovers, I want a 45-minute layover or hour layover, sometimes that hour is not enough if there's a problem or the plane is late leaving your destination, your departing destination. You know, we want to accommodate you and we want you to have that 15 or 20-minute layover, but why do that to yourself? Why stress yourself out, stress us out? When we're looking out for your best interest, we know there's mechanical issues. We know that the flight can take off late waiting for someone. We know that the flight can, take off late because they're waiting for the pilot. Someone could have called out sick. This is life. This is not something that's guaranteed every single day, every hour. So we had her that 3 or 4 hour gap once she got to New York to go on over to Barcelona. However, that still wasn't enough time, because once they dealt with the mechanical issues, because they couldn't fly that plane, the brakes didn't work. They had to sit out there for maybe an hour or two and then bring the plane back in, find a spot for it, order another plane, or find all of the people on that plane accommodations to go somewhere, wherever they're going, whether they're going to their connecting flight, whether they were just going to New York and that was going to be their end destination. The airline needs time to deal with all that, get people rebooked on new flights. So in that process, the flight that they were going to be catching in in New York to Barcelona, they didn't make it. Now I got another customer in New York. And I'm like, Lord, take the wheel. Last week has been challenging. As the CEO of companies, you guys don't see what happens in the background, why we're here so late sometimes, what even happens. So we were trying to get this customer and her family to Barcelona. I'm not finished with the disaster here, so I want you guys to stand by. She missed that first flight, leaving out of New York, of course, because of the mechanical issues here in D.C. They finally got her a flight. Listen, guys, I want you to listen to this, because you're going to this is crazy. They finally found her a flight. It was not going to go to Barcelona, though. They were like, we can get you out of here tonight if you go to Madrid first. And then from Madrid, which is about an hour and a half flight over to Barcelona, if that, will you take this? Of course, she has no choice but to go. Now she was going from a direct flight over to Barcelona, now to stopping in Madrid, and then from Madrid, they'll try to get her over to Barcelona. Guys, she got to she got to Madrid, and now they've lost her bags. Her husband, and her son don't have no luggage. Wow. They can't find the luggage. They don't know where the luggage is with all these changes. Because that's important too, guys. You want your stuff. If you have your bags misplaced or lost, that insurance policy will make provisions for you to buy new clothes and get reimbursed. After 3 hours, if you are displaced without your luggage, that policy will kick in and start reimbursing you. It is not always, again, guys, about getting a refund. Of course, that is the best part if you decide you can't go or if someone gets sick in pre-departure. But after departure, guys, the insurance is the most valuable to me. That's how I feel. So they can't find her bags. They get her from Madrid over to Barcelona. She's in Barcelona for one day, no bags, no clothes, none of her items that she probably went shopping for before she left to look pretty. You know how us women do. We want all new things for all new days. So she's without her merchandise, right? So now she's in Madrid, in Barcelona, not having a good time. She's tired. Her family is tired. This is what's called a trip interruption, guys. That is what's covered on these policies that we are selling here at Majestic Millionaires. So, we're not talking about the insurance you buy that's connected to a flight that's $9 or $29. That's only if the flight has an issue or if you need to cancel and just protect that flight. Not covering your hotel and all of that stuff. We're talking about travel insurance that covers pre-departure and after departure situations. So she's tired. She's missed a day or two. She has to rest. The time difference, she had jet lag. All that's happening, in motion. Now she's supposed to have a day or so and then get ready to go over to Paris. She has no bags. Now she's headed to Paris for one day to enjoy the Eiffel Tower, to enjoy a tour that she had already planned. We've already paid for everything. Her transfers are already paid for. Everything, the flight, everything. The airline is not one of the airlines here in the United States. It was an airline in Barcelona that was just taking her to a hop over to Paris. We took care of all that, paid for her hotel, everything. The airline cancels the flight to Paris. This is a disaster now. We're getting the calls like, hey, Mr. Wanda, they've canceled the airline. Well, I found out that they canceled the airline before she even knew because I got the notification. And I was like, now I got to tell this customer that this airline has canceled her flight over to Paris. She's paid for everything in Paris. And those things that you pay for sometimes to get the best price, because everybody wants the lowest price, right? They want the cheapest. So with that cheap price, it comes with non-refundables sometimes. So think about that too, guys, when you guys wanting all this cheap stuff. The lower price, but not with this customer. We gave her exactly what she wanted. It was the best price. It was okay. It wasn't luxury. But now she's threatened. She doesn't have a flight to Paris. Her transfer that was going to take her to the airport, the transfer that was going to pick her up in Paris, her tours in Paris, and her hotel. The hotel was $510 for one night over to when you got to Paris. So she paid a pretty penny to put this trip together. This trip was like a luxury trip. So now we're trying to find another flight on the same day almost, because the time difference is different, but it's really the same day she needs to fly to Paris to get all of her excursions, her hotel, everything. So I'm like, I had one of my agents here in the office at the time, Marche Edwards. She was like blown away. I was blown away because we were like working on some other projects. So she sat here and tried to find the customer another flight to go over to Paris for one night. We found her a flight on Air France. And I'm going to tell you, her whole package just for the day was probably about $2,000. But now, just for round trip flights, just to go over to Paris for one day, because it's the same day, cost her $2,700. Just to go there for a few hours and come back. But she has travel insurance. Even though she's going to pay for it that day, she's going to get a receipt, and we're going to help her navigate through the application process with her insurance, because that's a trip interruption. The flight was canceled at no fault of her own. at no fault of ours. We don't know if they have mechanical issues or what the situation was. The airline that canceled her was gracious enough. They gave her a refund and, back on her card, but that doesn't prevent her from having to buy another flight for 3 people, which was almost $3,000 round trip just for a hop over to Paris. So by her having that travel insurance, do you guys see that? The difference? Of course, this is a nightmare story regardless of how you look at it, to me, because her trip has been interrupted. Now, we get her the new flight. This story is not finished, guys. We get her a new flight through Air France. She pays for it. But prior to her paying for it, we had called the hotel to ask them, could they be so kind to give her money back, even though it was non-refundable, because the airline had canceled on her. And they said absolutely not. We fought for her, and they's like, no, we held the room. She's paid for it already. We expect her to be here. And we were like, no, she can't be there. There's no flight. The flight got canceled. That went on for a couple of hours, and we was just like done with it, right? She gets a new flight with Air France. I'm going to piggyback on that again. She gets to Paris with her $2,700 flight. She gets over to Paris. God damn it. They canceled the room. Now she's in Paris. I didn't say it that nicely. I was livid because we didn't ask that the room be canceled. All we asked is if she cannot get there, can she get her money back? And if we knew it was non-refundable, they told us absolutely not. But since they kind of knew they was being a little greedy, that she wouldn't get there, they thought that she wouldn't get another flight. That's what they really thought, and they can resell the room and keep her money. So I was almost in tears, guys. This was like a debacle. And keep in mind, one of these days I was at the doctor. So I'm in the doctor getting a physical, and everybody in the office is working on other situations kind of similar to this. But I knew her. I booked her. I wanted to be the one with her to make sure that she knew that we had her back during travel. I didn't care that I was in the doctor's up on that table. They were doing my physical. And the lady was like, ma'am, your blood pressure is so high. The doctor. I said, ma'am, listen to this story. I have a customer stuck. She's now in Paris with nowhere to stay. Her husband, and her son. And it was just like, my blood pressure was so high, it just was like, I probably needed to go to the hospital at that point, even though I was in a clinic. So we got the supplier on the phone. They were trying to help us for a few hours. While she's standing in the lobby, they're not welcoming her over there after they took her money, gave her room away after they said they couldn't give her a refund if she didn't show up. So she ended up booking another room. She was so gracious, because she's on here, so I want to make sure I tell the whole story. She was so gracious to say, hey, Tawanda, you deal with your doctor. I'll go ahead and book me another room for me and my husband and my family, and we'll just deal with this when we get back, okay? I said, okay, I'm so sorry. I don't control the airlines, though, guys. I can't control when they cancel a flight, when they have mechanical issues. All I can control is making sure I tell you how valuable travel insurance is and what could happen if you don't buy it. Yes, just like a car. You can buy insurance for your car and never need it. But if you ever did, it's there for you. How dare you want to not go with car insurance? You might hit somebody and you might not. You don't know, but you still have to carry it, right? Now, the customer gets to Paris again. She gets another hotel. I know she couldn't probably sleep. She couldn't enjoy the Eiffel Tower. She couldn't enjoy this time with her husband. She owns a business just like me. So, with that being said, we business owners have so much more stress than the average person. So I know for a fact she was stressed out. She's like, I did this trip. I wanted a relaxing time with my family and my husband and my son. And all this stuff is happening. She's on the phone more with me than the time she's spending with her husband and her son. All because a flight got canceled, all because there was mechanical issues. And she's going to get some kind of compensation from the airlines too, because we're working on all of that. But that doesn't prevent you from having a disaster, because the writing the letters and making the calls and dealing with the insurance company after it's all over, you can sleep a little better knowing that you have the travel insurance and that when you get back, some of those expenses will be reimbursed and covered. But just imagine if she didn't have travel insurance. Now, she gets back to Barcelona. She spends her day in Paris, has to get her own hotel. Transfer is still there, so transfer brings her back. That part went all well. She's back in Barcelona. Now, we have to call the airlines because she missed some days, or a day, a full day and a half too. I get on the phone and I call American Airlines. I explain the story. They have it documented. And I say my client would like another day in Barcelona. And we do not want to pay. We are not going to pay. So they agreed, and they changed her flight for us so she can have another day of peace in Barcelona with her husband and her son before they return home. So, but there was another piece to that. She still, the airline did not want to pay for the hotel for the extra night. So she had to pay for the hotel for her extra night. But she has travel insurance, and she will be reimbursed for that. Did you see how that goes? Even though it's a headache, it's a disaster, but travel insurance is going to be happening for her. All right? So I'm going to get to this last story. This is one that happens at least, I'm going to say, one time out of every 20 trips that we book. And one time of every 5 group trips that we book, we have this scenario. This is scenario number 4. This is your bonus, because I said it's only going to be 3. This one is literally just resolved at 11 o'clock last night. Me and my husband was in here almost till midnight last night, trying to work that out, trying to work out getting these shirts done, getting everything shipped out for all these trips for this summer. And in the mix of that, it was just crazy. My husband came in here yesterday, worked in the office, tried to give us a hand because that problem was like eating me up. I almost kind of like not gave up, but I almost quit my own company yesterday because of this. But this situation is going to help us go forward. This last situation is about girlfriends, about trips that you book with people you don't know. You're rooming with somebody, you don't really know that person, or you know them and then they're not loyal. You guys buy these luxury trips or not luxury trips, $2,000 and $3,000 worth of trips, and you're taking your bestie or someone that you know. Boom, boom, boom. You're supposed to be making payments every month, but you don't. But you still don't want to buy the travel insurance, because I don't know why. I don't know if it's a mindset thing, or it's a just say no because you don't want to be sold to, or you just feel like you're invincible, or you feel like nothing's going to happen until it happens. But every time I do a group trip, I do get one of these. So I won't say 1 out of every 3 group trips. Every group trip I have this scenario. This made me do what I'm going to do starting last night. The last day the payment is due, one person don't have the money, or one person don't want to go, or one person that's in a room with someone else, they don't speak to each other anymore, or one husband don't want to be with the wife no more, one wife don't want to be with the boyfriend no more, or someone passed away in one of the rooms with their family members, but no insurance is involved. And of course, this is when you have airline tickets connected to the package. When you have airline tickets connected to a package, you can't change names. Even if you have an airline ticket, that is just an airline ticket. Airlines do not change names on tickets. I don't know if I'm not doing a great job, and people can't believe that airlines don't change names on tickets. They don't give money back for tickets. They may exchange a ticket for another date. They may move it forward, but you still have to pay the exchange rates. We're not talking about Southwest right now. We're talking about any other carrier. There are fees involved, but they never change a name. At Southwest, you can never change a name on the airline. So when you have someone that quits on you and you're at an all-inclusive property, someone still needs to pay for the rest of the room. If your girlfriend is not going, your husband's not going, or your grandma's not going, or somebody died in your family and you can't go, that is when you need travel insurance. You don't know what's going to happen in the future. And I get so angry because I offer it at the beginning, I offer it in the middle, and I offer it as you're walking out the door. And people continue to say no. And I think they just want to say no just to say no. Not because I need to keep sharing this video. So all yesterday, I stayed on the phone with Southwest for 10 hours. The day before, I stayed on the line for 6 hours. I had to pull over on the side of the road at one point to deal with this problem. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. If they had travel insurance, you can quit and be like, I'm not going, and get your money back. If you have travel insurance and someone in the room quits and they have travel insurance, if you pay for that, you will get the money back because that is still called a trip interruption and somebody is not going. So what we were trying to work out yesterday with this customer, because one young lady is not going and the other person has invested her side of the money for her flight and her airline, they needed someone else to go and they wanted to swap out a person. But I said, you can't swap out a person because the airline does not change names on the ticket. That person would have to get another flight. Well, they couldn't understand why they couldn't just take that money and give it to the new person and that new person use the airline ticket. It doesn't work like that, guys. If they would have had travel insurance, the airline would have given them the money back, or they could have paid up front and got a reimbursement. But we're talking about no insurance right now on none of the packages for this group. And they have wanted to make several changes. You know, that's why I can't share their names. I hope they're not upset with me. But I have to get this story out so people can understand that when I asked you about the travel insurance, it's not just for a reimbursement for a trip sometimes. Sometimes it is. It's for everything almost. Your bags getting lost, the flight getting delayed, you get stuck in another country, you lose your passport, you have to buy a hotel if your flight gets delayed and you took a flight from somewhere else. If your bag is damaged, if you get sick in another country, if you get sick before you go, if you get jury duty and can't go, if your girlfriend bails out on you, if your husband leaves you, or guess what? What if you want to leave your husband and you don't want him to go no more? All that's a part of having travel insurance. So let me bring it back because I get so emotional about this situation. So what had to happen was Southwest, because all you guys talking about Southwest is the best, they're not. That Southwest changed the lady and put her in the room and she had to pay the difference, but Southwest still had to charge her for a new flight. Southwest did all the exchanges, they did all the numbers, and they said, boom, this is the amount the new lady has to pay. It was $792. Okay? So I told the lady it was $792. Southwest accepted her card. We were supposed to get the paid off documents and everything was supposed to be fine. Here come an invoice saying that this new customer that just paid off her trip, been on the phone for 10 hours one day, 6 hours the other day, dealing with this problem, trying to get them to fix it and get this new person added on. Here they say there's another $649 that needs to be paid. Somebody need to pay me because I've been on the phone for 10 hours with no pay one day, and then I've been on the phone for 5 hours another day with no pay. There ain't enough money in commission that the airline can give me that would pay for my time. And it's all my time when people don't have travel insurance and they want me to jump through these hoops and take all this extra time that I don't get paid for unless you take a trip. I don't even get paid for the time, even if you take a trip. So there was a problem again. Their system calculated the numbers wrong, but it didn't catch it until after the lady paid with her credit card. Again, that's not a Majestic Millionaires Travel Agency fault. That's not a customer's fault. That is a system generated issue. From first and foremost not being able to have travel insurance, they had to go in the background and try to maneuver a way to get this new lady into the room, take the old lady off, figure out who paid what, find out from the difference from the air, because with Southwest, you get your credit back. So they were trying to figure out how much credit for the flight portion that they were going to give the lady that quit. The two ladies now that's going, they didn't want her to get nothing because they felt that was unfair that she just bailed out on them. Even though it is, but Southwest policy is you get a credit back for your portion if you do not fly with them. But they had to try to figure all that out, and they thought they did it correct way, but they didn't. So now I'm like, Lord, how do I call this customer back after I told her exactly what Southwest told me? We're supposed to be paid in full. The trip is supposed to be paid in full. The lady's supposed to be joining. Everything's supposed to be fine. The other lady, we told her how much Southwest said she was going to get an air credit for was $500 and some, and we were supposed to be done. So I had to call the customer and tell them there's a problem. I was like, my whole couple of days has been jacked up, right? So I'm feeling better today. So I call I call Southwest. I'm on the phone with them for another few hours. This is included in the 10 hours. And I'm demanding to speak to a supervisor. I'm demanding that I speak to an escalation supervisor, because keep in mind, the payment was due yesterday in full for all. This was this group, for all the ladies. All the other rooms were paid, except for one other one and this one. The other one, they just lost their money because they didn't finish paying. They didn't have travel insurance so as to get their deposit back. So it was over. So they didn't want to get a supervisor on the phone for me. Southwest, you guys' favorite person, your favorite company, they give you those 2-3 bags, has the worst customer service when there's a problem. So they kept having a young lady talk to me that really didn't have the experience. There's no customer service out here anymore. So you guys can forget that. That's almost out the window now. They're hiring anybody. Everybody's hiring anybody and everybody just to have a body, because customer service is out the window. People don't care about people anymore. People don't care about business. People don't care about your business. But that's for another video. Let me bring it back again. So they said they were going to pull the tape and they were going to let me know in 15 days. I said, absolutely not. We're not doing that. We're not going there. Because if you wait for 15 days and the payment was due that day, you're going to cancel the trip and then going to say you're canceling it because we didn't make the payment. The customer didn't make her final payment. So I said, absolutely not. I wouldn't get off the phone. I said, ma'am, you're either going to hang up on me or you're going to get me a supervisor. You're going to either hang up on me or you're going to get me a supervisor. So she just stayed there on the phone and she was typing, talking to the escalation team. She said no supervisor was available, which it was, but they didn't know what to do. Even the supervisor didn't know what to do. And then they tried to act like I was dumb, like I was just some peon travel agent, until I told them and had them recognize I am the CEO of the travel agency. And you are not going to tell me that I heard something different. When you collected the $792, you charged the customer the $792, and that's what you told her to pay. So I was in here feeling around. Oh God, I was livid yesterday. I was like not happy at all. 11 o'clock last night, I guess they reviewed the tape, even though they said it was going to take 15 days. Because once they found out I was the CEO and they wasn't dealing with some, low level, so like how they tried to treat me. Nobody is low level, but they tried to act like I was a travel agent, maybe booking a trip once a year, once every other year. I'm booking millions of dollars worth of trips, and they know that. They can see it in the background. They know our number. I said, I am the owner that's bringing your company millions of dollars in business, with these trips. So they must have pulled the tape. At 11 o'clock last night, we got the paid in full documents. I don't call any customer at 11 o'clock at night. That's unheard of. But I picked up the phone and I called the customer and let them know the problem had been resolved and that I was sending out their paid in full documents. I was very sorry that this situation happens. I apologize so much on behalf of these airlines, on these shoddy employees that giving out wrong information. And then people want to know why I'm so anal. Why am I so strict? Why am I so tough? Because I see it all. When you are dealing with hundreds of people, you see more scenarios than the average person that would probably take a trip once a year or twice a year. I see it all. I hear it all. I may not be able to share every story, but when I'm being tough or when I'm straightforward, it's not because I just want to be a hard ass. It's because I've seen the problem before. We deal with it not often, but we do deal with it. And I know the importance of you having travel insurance. And so one of my staff members will pick that up. Oh. So y'all not answering the phone? Oh, I can't answer it. I'm in the middle of a live video. So, there we go. We'll talk about that another story too. So, it's like I have to give it to you straight, uncut, unapologetic. I don't mean to be sometimes so non-caring, but if I don't tell you the truth, and if I don't send out that email 2 or 3 times, when you have a problem, all you're going to do is come back at me and say, well, you didn't tell me. You didn't explain it to me the right way. You didn't do that. So I am a very, very, very straightforward person. I am trying to run this company to scale to some unimaginable stuff that people have never seen. I am trying to get Expedia level. I am trying to get Apple Vacation level. And I can't do that with customers that don't understand the importance of travel insurance, because when things happen like this, like all 4 of these scenarios, it leaves a bad taste in a customer's mouth. It doesn't matter that the problem wasn't Majestic Millionaires' problem. It doesn't matter that the problem was the airline problem. What they're going to say is they booked a trip with Majestic Millionaires Travel Agency and it was a disaster. But they're not going to say that Majestic Millionaires Travel Agency offered you travel insurance at the onset of your trip when you booked it, in the middle of us collecting your payments, and right when you go out the door. We are going to tell you that we still recommend, and it's not too late, that you buy travel insurance. And it's for all 4 of these scenarios that I just talked about. So I needed to do this video. I know it's very long, but I need to share it with the masses. And as of yesterday, if you are going to do business with Majestic Millionaires, you have to buy the insurance. It's just a must. We can't even sell you a trip anymore because it's time wasted from you, time wasted from us, is aggravation, is disaster, is heartache, all for a policy that you could have purchased. Most of the time it's cost $65. Sometimes if you're older, they go by the risk factor and what country you're going to. Sometimes it could be $200. But if you're going to spend $5,000, sometimes we get trips where people book, like a lady booked a trip the other day She spent $13,000 for 2 people. And she don't want to buy the travel insurance. That's unheard of. But guess what, guys? I'm going to fix all of this. We are setting a standard in this industry that you have to have it, just like a mortgage. You cannot buy a house and let a bank finance your house without having documents saying that you have went out and purchased homeowner insurance and you send it to that mortgage company. And every year, their name is connected to that policy. So when you drop it, they're going to know you dropped it. So they're going to add insurance for you. So it has to be kind of similar, because I don't want to lose customers. I don't want my customers to lose their money. And God forbid, if a customer gets in another city or another country and they pass away and their family calls us and asks, is there anything that they had in place that will help them bring their loved one home? And we have to tell that family member no, because they didn't buy the travel insurance. The travel insurance will also take care of that. There's some of them offer 100,000 medical, some of them offer 1 million medical. I've had a customer out of San Diego. She's on my Facebook page. She had insurance and she went on a cruise and had to be medevac. She didn't have a passport on the cruise, but she had to be medevac back to Mexico at the Tijuana border. And then the ambulance met the medevac at the Tijuana border and got her to the hospital. That is what travel insurance is all about. It is not always just for your reimbursement. It's a reimbursement for life that happens. It's for medical. It's for lost luggage. It's for if the plane has mechanical issues, if you have to get laid over somewhere, if someone dies, if someone has jury duty, if one of your girlfriends quit on you, or your husband lost his job, you lost your job and can't pay for the trip. All of that stuff is covered for life, in this travel insurance. So I'm going to end with that. I'm not even going to take any questions, because ask your questions right here in the comments section and I will certainly answer them. I am Tawanda Dofat. I am the CEO of Majestic Millionaires Travel Agency, where we have everything good for you, and we're also going to make sure you have travel insurance going forward. You guys have a beautiful and blessed Saturday. If you are a father watching this, happy Father's Day. If this video gets shared within the next couple of months and it's not Father's Day, it was when I did the video. You guys have a good one. Bye-bye.